What's going on? My name is Preston Davis, and I wanted to do a video on 5 things that I've learned traveling and doing business throughout 10 US cities. And this will be beneficial because if you're ever in these cities and you want to know how to maneuver, be understanding of what things can get done and what you can get out of specific situations that you might be in the future, then this video is for you. So, background, I've done business in about 10 different cities throughout the US, and some of them ranging from supply chain to real estate to producing conferences and galas. I'll share more on that as we go along. So, some of the key points that I've noticed is speed, honesty, seasons, and knowing your limits. We'll dive into these a bit further. So, one thing I've learned when I was on the East Coast, specifically New York, Baltimore, is that speed is very important, but the way in which you do things is also important. Meaning, if you can do something that's low quality, very fast, that's going to go very far with people. But if it's something that needs to be done with specific quality, meaning you need to be paying attention to the numbers, the data, it all needs to matter. We need to take your time and actually understand what the data is representing. Hesitation usually costs you opportunities in these areas, but if you can be swift and be efficient, you will go very far. Something I've learned in the West Coast and the South specifically is being upfront and honest will actually save you a lot of time and trouble. Sugarcoating and avoiding tough conversations will slow you down most of the time. Now, a lot of people in the South think this is how Californians act, but I would argue that in California, if you do any of these things, people will not take you as seriously and they'll be able to read it very quickly. But in the South, I've noticed if you can be upfront with people, they will respect it a lot more, specifically if you're dealing with business items or if you're dealing with personal relationships. There's a saying, give it to me plain or give it to me straight, meaning, don't make it complicated, just be simple with it, right? So that's something I've learned in the South specifically, and that's something I kind of had to learn from people around me actually. Because growing up in California, you realize a lot of people like to sugarcoat things and make it seem grander or make it seem like it's not as big as a deal as it is. But it's clear you should be very honest with people on the first come around. Something additionally I learned in California is overextending your resources will drain you tremendously. It's very expensive to live out here. It's even more expensive to get things done out here. If you try to do too much at once, you're going to end up expending a lot of money, a lot of resources. It's best if you have a team or can have people that operate on behalf of you. If you're trying to do social media and you're trying to run a business and you're trying to flip burgers in the back, you're not going to be able to do it all. So you definitely need a team to handle a lot of these things. And a lot of these categories coincide in how they produce and make your business more well known. So they're all equally important. It's just that you can't do them all yourself, right? Something I've learned in the Midwest, specifically Chicago, St. Louis, is that seasons actually contribute a lot in terms of how people operate and work every day. Meaning, if it's winter, well, some things are going to get done a little bit slower. People may not be in the most cheery mood, and the quality of certain things may not be the best. So there's certain things to keep in mind when you're traveling or if you want to conduct business in these places. Understand that certain things, if it's snowing and it's like hell frozen over, and certainly in some of these cities, you don't count on a lot of people coming to work that day or wanting to work, I should say. So something I've learned in regards to within all regions, New York, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., West Coast, LA, San Francisco, is that some problems are bigger than you and I. I mean, if we don't have the proper amount of people to get things done, well, it may not get done, at least in the time that we expect it. And that's an important thing to acknowledge because you need to know when you have to step back. If you keep trying to force things when there is no progress being made, especially you're not learning anything, nothing's being improved, that might be an indicator to step back and evaluate, all right, what resources do we need? Do we need to scale up resources? Do we need to bring in a third party to help us with this. So I would say definitely don't be afraid to acknowledge that. So just to recap, some of the things I've learned is speed, honesty, focus, and understanding your limits. If you're doing business or you're traveling across the country, it's important to keep these lessons in mind. You'll save time, money, and energy. And in the comments, let me know which city you want to travel to or do business in. Anyway, take care.